Resistance has killed more dreams than anything else. Resistance, analysis, paralysis. The notion of overthinking it, of getting, too caught up in the weeds, too caught up in what's going on, I think kills more people's ambition and drive and dreams than anything else. I was having a discussion with a friend of mine, and we were talking about her business. And she asked me, and she's like, do I even care? And she said to me, she's like, I think the answer is yes, I do care. But then my actions don't match my words. Why don't my actions match my words? And I think more often than we'd like to admit, part of the problem is the answer is more nuanced and more complex than it's just do what you said, just do the work. Look, I think there is a massive component of that, but there are also other factors that we don't take into account. And so as we were talking this through, working it out together, the concept that kept coming up and the notion that kept arising was, that it was comfortable. That, yeah, she did care. But she also knew how much work was required, how much effort, how much sacrifice, how much further she had to go to reach these goals. And so the story that kept coming up, the resistance that kept coming up was, do I care enough about the outcome to make this happen? And we've spoken about this many times before. Part of the problem is when there's not enough pain. I actually find that the hardest time to succeed is, when you're reasonably successful already. You know, what's the fighting term? It's hard to be a killer when you're sleeping on silk sheets. When you've had a bit of success, when you've had a bit of, progress forward, it's really hard to get up and do the things that are deeply uncomfortable, to get up and do the things that you don't fucking like, to get up and do the things that, you don't really want to partake in. It's easy when you're in pain. It's easy when you're suffering. It's easy when you feel like you've got nothing else to lose, so you might as well have one more roll of the dice. That's easy because, it can't get worse. It can't get worse than where you currently are, so why not have a crack? But it's when you get to the other side and you start to have a bit of success and you get comfortable. Life isn't great, but it sure as shit ain't bad. And you start weighing up whether it's bad enough to justify doing the work that you're now talking about. Justify the sacrifice, the pain, the effort, the challenges, the obstacles. And if you let resistance get even a toehold into you on that, it becomes really hard to continue down that path. Because resistance will whisper in your ear. It'll whisper to you those sweet nothings that only you know, only you truly know. And oftentimes they can seem innocent, and oftentimes they can seem like things that in the moment don't feel like much. As we've spoken about before, they cascade into the big moments because the tree falls the way it leans. They can feel like little things like, maybe you shouldn't get up this morning. Sleep in. You're tired. Maybe you could just have a night off from your eating. Enjoy the food. Eat whatever you want. Why don't you skip this workout? It's been a big week. You could use some rest. These little things. And there can be nuggets of truth in them. And I often find they're the worst ones. They're the worst ones that eat away at you the most. Because they're the ones with, it's like lying. The best lies have a nugget of truth in them. Same with excuses. Same for reasons to not do the work. There are truths in them. There are justifiable reasons. I call them justifiable excuses. Because, well, there is a reason not to do it. And for your average person, they would accept that excuse. They would understand it. They'd be like, yeah, I get it. That's fine. Like, don't stress it. And they are the slippery slope to ending back in the place that you don't want to be. To pushing back into that life that you don't want. It's a slippery fucking slope. And justifiable excuses are the worst offender for it. Because, as I said, you can give it justification. You can give it reasoning. You can be like, yeah, I needed that. I needed the rest. I needed the time off. I needed to skip that. I needed downtime. I needed whatever the fuck it might be. And no one would hold that against you. But we're not playing for average. We're not playing for mediocrity. We're not playing to fit in with the norm. We are playing to chase greatness. We are playing to see who we can become. We are pursuing an unknown destination of greatness to constantly elevate the game and just see what is fucking possible if you go all in and give it your all. But resistance will kill that. Resistance will raise its ugly fucking head and tell you that the comfortable life that you're in is enough. So I've heard many different variations of the story, but it's the concept of keeping your old shoes that have a hole in them so that you remind yourself of where you came, or putting a rock in your shoe so you never forget the discomfort of where you used to be. Because it is hard once you have a modicum of success. You start to get to a point and it becomes difficult to keep pushing forward. And this is why we've often spoken about you need a why bigger than yourself. You know, it can't just be about, hey, I want a six-pack, or hey, I want to be rich, or hey, I want to, the next thing, whatever it might be, whatever area you're trying to work on. If it's something that's nice in principle but doesn't have enough of a draw card, well, it becomes really difficult for you to find that drive and that passion to do it. That's why the majority of mine is anchored around my family. Yeah, I like having a six-pack. Yeah, I like having money. Yeah, I like all those kinds of things. But I anchor this around my family, especially my children. When it comes to the health and fitness, I anchor it to my children, that I want to be the shining fucking beacon of what is possible, of what a good life would look like, of what discipline and grit and fortitude looks like. I want to be that shining beacon for them and to lead by example, not with my words, not with what I'm telling them to be, but them to grow up just thinking that's how we are, because that's who daddy is. So discipline, grit, fortitude, all those kinds of things, those are the things that I focus on for them, not for me. The other stuff's a byproduct. The other stuff's a nicety. The other stuff is, yeah, that'd be sweet if that comes off. But it's not about that. It's about, for them, that I must continue to make, well, the right choices. I keep coming back to this notion of it is your honor, your duty, and your obligation to be in the greatest possible shape. You must lead by example. And it flows into all areas of your life. It's not just that you are in great shape. It's not just that you are showing them what discipline and fortitude and follow through and grit looks like. But it's the intangibles that come with that. It's the ability to do whatever you want whenever you want. It's the ability to not say no to any opportunity that arises. It's the ability to show up as a different kind of man. Especially in health and fitness. Fucking everybody talks about getting in shape. They talk about doing things. They talk about actually changing their life. And how many fucking people do it? How rare is it for someone to actually make a change for the better, and commit to it, but that beyond that, to make it a long-term reality. How fucking rare. Like, it's insane. The fact that statistically you are more likely to become a millionaire than to have a six-pack says everything you need to know about that. And then fitness translates into everything else. It makes you better at everything else. It makes you better at business. It makes you better at work. It makes you better in relationships. It makes you happier. It makes you healthier. It allows for greater levels of enjoyment of life. It allows opportunities for you to do the things you want to do. The list just goes on. There is no justifiable reason why you should not be in the greatest shape you can possibly be, and pursuing that every single day and redefining what that looks like. And I think that is also the part of it that comes with it, that you have to keep redefining what success looks like, redefining how you should look, how you should feel, what that level of fitness looks like. Because I had this thought the other day of it, and I had a moment, and I'm not going to lie, where, you know, I found the exact meaning of when they say comparison is the thief of joy. Because that's exactly what happened. I was on social media, I was looking for some content ideas, and I stumbled upon some other guys, like TNF and, I forget the other guy's name, and Alex Ubeck and things like this. And I'd gone from, hey, I'm really starting to like how my physique is looking. I've really come a long fucking way. And then I looked at those guys and I'm like, fuck. So much further to go. But this is a double whammy one that I think is important to understand on that. That, one, I need to be kind to myself on that fact. Because less than a year ago, I was so fat that, you know, my gut hung over my pants, couldn't see my own dick, had man tits. One of the most embarrassing moments was when my daughter asked me why my boobs were bigger than mummy's. Shit like that. To six-pack, great shape, doing really fucking good. But I need to recognize that and be proud of that effort. But at the same point, it comes back to what we're talking about. I could settle here. I could be comfortable here. Am I in the most amazing, incredible fucking shape under the sun? No. No, I am not. Am I in better shape than probably 99% of the population? Yes. Yes, I am. But to prevent resistance taking over, to prevent resistance dominating me, to prevent resistance and comfortability pushing me into a place where I settle for a life that I don't fucking want, it's good to have those wake-up calls and go, fuck, there is still a long way to go. Because resistance will whisper in your ear all the time. It's always looking for a way to let you off the hook, to derail you from, well, the goals and dreams that you set out, to derail you from doing the things that you said you would do. That's what resistance is. It wants to kick you into a shadow career. It wants to kick you into doing and pursuing something that is less than you. But you must listen to the muse. You must step up and chase the thing that you are called to do. And, you know, I know that seems esoteric to talk about when we're talking about fitness, but it's bigger than that. Fitness is the gateway drug to all of those things. It opens up those pathways. It's what allows you to begin that journey, because you're becoming the best version of yourself. Fit, strong, and capable. That's what we need to be. We need to be able to take on any challenge. But beyond that, it teaches you discipline. It teaches you follow through. It teaches you fortitude. It teaches you that the work gets done regardless of your feelings. It teaches you this pattern of behavior. It teaches you that you can overcome, that it doesn't matter how hard it is, that you can overcome and achieve what is required. And it teaches you to constantly redefine where you need to be. And this is part of that thermostat concept. So we have an internal thermostat, and that applies to your physique, it applies to your bank account, it applies to happiness, it applies to all this kind of stuff. And as long as our thermostat is set at a certain level. So money is always the easiest example to explain this one. So say your thermostat is set at $100,000 a year, for example. As long as you have this concept around that's what I earn, that's who I am, that's the amount of money I can earn, you will fluctuate around that, but you'll always end up pretty much bang on in that middle position. So you might have a really great year and explode up, but then all these bills will happen, or you spend money, or things will happen, and it'll bring you back down to where you were. Maybe you'll have a really shit year and you're not earning as much, and suddenly you get this boost and you'll kick back into that 100,000 range. But until you reset that, you can go up and down, but you'll always return to where your thermostat is set. That's why I talk about act as if, because the same principle applies. That, if you're changing your health and fitness, if you're becoming the best version of yourself, you need to start acting as if you are that person. Because if deep down inside you still believe that you're a fat piece of shit, lo and behold, at some point you will revert back to that. At some point you will let the resistance in and you will revert back to that. Whereas if you reset your thermostat and you go, I'm a fit, strong, capable man. I'm a man who walks around with a six-pack. I'm a man who works out every single day, no matter what. You have reset your thermostat, and your subconscious programming will look for that and look to confirm that. It's a confirmation bias. It will look to confirm what you are saying to it, that this is the type of person you are. So you've got to set that. Otherwise, as I said, the resistance will kick back in. That resistance will come back and it will kill you. It will kill your dreams. It will derail you, and it will take you off the path that you know you need to be on. From doing the things that you know you need to do. It will take you away from these things. So you must use every arrow in your quiver to prevent resistance from winning. Because it is a never-ending battle against the resistance to stop you from chasing the things that really matter to you. But each time you win, each time you cut off that dragon's head, each time you progress forward and win that battle, it gets a little bit easier. Not because there's less resistance, but because you're a little bit stronger. Because you've leveled up a little bit more. Because you've become aware of it, and you've put another notch in your belt, and your armor gets a little bit stronger, and your weapons get a little bit stronger, and your ability to handle the resistance as it comes to you gets a little bit better. So you must continue forward. You must continue battling resistance. Because if you don't, you'll end up that sad story. That man who died at 25 but wasn't buried till he was 75. You'll just keep rehashing that same life over and over and over again. Stuck in that paralysis of a life that you don't want to live. Even though you know that you were called for more. So, if you're ready for that, if you're ready to answer the call, to step the fuck up and do what is required, shoot me a message. Let's get you into Chasing Greatness Daily. Let's start that journey now. Now, if you're not quite there yet, click the link in my bio, grab my top 10 tools to transform your mental toughness. And lastly, as always, if this spoke to you, if you enjoyed it, if you know someone who needs to hear this, please like, comment, subscribe, and share. But most importantly, subscribe, because the majority of people who are watching this are not subscribed. And like everything in Chasing Greatness Daily, I am here every single day. No matter what, rain, hail, or shine, here, sharing from the front. And I want to continue to share this with you. So hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Until then.